Welcome everybody to another episode of Fantasy News. I am your disheveled goblin host Daniel Green, and today, I am not joking when I say this might be the most packed lineup of fantasy news we have ever had in my career, with heavy-hitting name after heavy-hitting name dropping massive stories. So without too much further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into it with first an update from a story we covered in the last episode of Fantasy News. I spent quite a bit of time ripping out spines and talking about how this vanity AI press, in my opinion, allegedly, is a total scam and fraudulent within the publishing space. And if you would like to see a YouTuber I respect so much for their ability to, let's just say, remove certain organs in their own deep dives, I highly recommend you check out Crimson Rogue's 30-minute dive into spines that I'll have linked down below on their second channel. Ooh, such a great vivisection by our channel friend here. Now, let's go ahead and get into the major news stories of the day before we talk about my experience at Dragonsteel Nexus and all of the news that dropped around Brandon Sanderson and the Cosmere. And the first major story of the day is, yes, we have had both a Wheel of Time poster drop as well as a trailer. And if you know my opinions on the Wheel of Time so far, I thought season 1 was fine. Season 2 was okay to good, depending on the episode. And my hope is that the trajectory for the show continues to tick upwards, find its way back more towards being loyal to the actual source material, because I think there is so much potential within the cast, and they're really struggling on a writer / condensing episode level. I have this new theory that's been bumping around my head that one of the big weaknesses of modern day epics being adapted to TV is just largely tied to episode count. I mean, Fringe used to get 20 some episodes per season, and now we're trying to take fantasy epics that are so dense and nuanced and tell their full stories in about 8 hours of actual in the show time, and that's a huge problem. And so I'm hoping Wheel of Time is continuing to able to adjust. And my argument would be, I would be fine with more episodes with maybe weaker VFX due to budget constraints, because I still enjoy watching Buffy. I don't care much about the VFX. I just want solid writing. Will season 3 actually deliver on that? I'm not entirely sure. I really hope so. I always believe trailers for anything are basically lies because they're edited to just try and pitch whatever they think will work best. That's what they're designed to do, and there's an artistry to that in itself. But in terms of what we saw here, definitely a lot of actual storybook moments, relevant type things. I would actually say even in the poster, seeing Rand carry what I have confirmed is Moraine. I mean, even that works for events that are happening in the 4th book for the Wheel of Time. So the biggest confirmation we've got here is theoretically, which also kind of works with what we got in season 2. Season 3 is going to be covering the rest of book 3 and book 4, it seems, which again kind of ties into the, wow, I think larger episode counts per season would allow them to do a lot cleaner than we've seen before. I have a whole thing, a rant I could do on how A Song of Ice and Fire was really built for the episode counts that HBO gave it, and now larger books from Robert Jordan, who, is the hyper descriptive detail guy, struggle to be condensed down. But also, I mean, I've been pushed back on that, and people just say it's a writing thing. And I agree, but there's whatever. Anyway, this trailer on a budget level looked really good. I still enjoy the cast. I just hope we see the source material steered even more toward in this upcoming season. Without getting too much into spoilers here, because I know a bunch of you probably have not read the books that are watching, the Aiel antagonist that we see a brief glimpse of, I'm hoping the fervor we see from that individual is really captured in this season. And the tree, I will give full credits to the VFX team, as striking as I wanted to see it on that visual impact level. But the set designs have always been a strength of the show in general. The Aiel culture as a whole is one of my favorite elements to the Wheel of Time, period. And we've already seen a glimpse of the Aiel in season 2 in terms of meeting Avienda. But this is the chunk of the series where we're really supposed to, at least from what we're looking at in the trailer here, really get to know who they are as a people. And if that isn't delivered on, that will be a terminal problem for the rest of the show. So that's where my big focus is, just because my own personal preference for them within the wider narrative. And with us getting a hefty amount of land fear as well in this trailer, which makes sense with what's being covered, though I don't know if they'll take in one element from the 4th book for what land fear is doing here. That's immediately a bit of a bonus for me because the performance behind Lanfear by this actress is like in the top 3 performances of the show. So yeah, if you're going to divert a little bit, lean into the strength that you found in that performance. And then also we had a description drop for a clip that was shown over at the convention that was happening, I believe in Brazil. I'm not gonna get into that because I consider it like full on spoilers to talk about a clip, but if you would like to see what is described there like textually, because obviously I'm not gonna release the footage, I'll have that linked in the description down below as well. And in an incredibly exciting last minute fantasy news update, an absolute legend of the genre, Glen Cook has just announced a new book for the Black Company series in quite some time. This will be the first book in a new arc titled Lies Weeping, set to be released November 4th of 2025. At least that's what it says on the website. For those of you who don't know, Glen Cook is pretty much the godfather of grimdark fantasy. If you like Joe Abercrombie books and you have not checked out Glen Cook, you are massively missing out. Though personally, the first Black Company book, while I appreciated it and it's written incredibly well, was just too dark for my own personal tastes. I love Joe Abercrombie in First Law. I don't feel myself drawn to reading another Black Company book, and I said as much in the video, and the top comments are like Black Company fans being like, dude, we get it. So it's kind of nice that they are aware that this is like a heck of a black start for grimdark with Black Company. But that is going to take us to the book announcements of the week, which I'm very excited to say we are starting off with actually a book announcement from a fellow YouTuber here on the platform who has been killing it on the starting their own like publishing journey side of things and on the content creation side. And that is because Kaden Love has, yes, put out the cover for Duets of Pernicious Eels, Paladins of the Harvest Book 2. But now we officially have a release date of February 5th of 2025, which if you haven't checked out their channel, definitely recommend you do. The enthusiasm for just the fantasy space is very contagious, but also met him at Dragonsteel, which we'll be talking about a lot here at the end of the fantasy news. Such a lovely individual, and their wife as well, just great people, and it was a highlight of the convention meeting both of them. But this is going to take us to another monolith within the fantasy space, dropping important book updates. Your author's favorite author, yes, Guy Gavriel K has released a blurb for their next release, and it reads, "From the international best-selling author of Tigana comes a sweeping new novel of love and war that brilliantly evokes the drama and turbulence of medieval France. Thierry Villars is a well-known, even notorious tavern poet, intimately familiar with the rogues and the shadows of that world, but not at all with courts and power. He is an unlikely person despite his quickness to be swept into the deadly contests of ambitious royals, assassins, and invading armies, but he is indeed drawn into all things on a savagely cold night in his beloved city of Orain. And so Thierry must use all the intelligence and charm he can muster as power struggles merge with decades-long war to bring his country to the brink of destruction. And as he does, he meets his poetic equal and an aristocrat woman, and is drawn to more than one unsettling person with a connection to the world beyond this one. He also crosses paths with an extraordinary young woman driven by voices within to try and heal the ailing king and help his forces in a war. A wide and varied set of people from all walks of life take their place in the rich tapestry of this story." And I absolutely agree with the top comment on the Reddit post talking about this, where Cosmere Canary says, "This man has been writing the same novel over and over for 35 years and I love him for it. I hope he never stops." Yes, if you were as good as Guy Gavriel K, who just knows how to make a story work on every single level, you can be a bit redundant and your fans will always be down. Though I think what they're saying is a bit of an exaggeration, saying Tigana is exactly like this. Not entirely accurate, but yeah, for the die-hard fans of fantasy, the people who know the real ones underneath, Guy Gavriel K is dropping again, and I couldn't be more excited. But if you want exciting big author news, yes, we're coming into Hammer again, because Andy Weir is officially going to be getting an edition from the Curious King for his classic. I believe it's fair to say at this point, The Martian is absolutely a classic of science fiction. Yeah, the Martian will be getting one of the highest in deluxe editions pass-through that the market has available. Curious King has high prices for a high-end product. I think I've gotten my hands on 2 of their books before, and both times I've been very impressed. And I don't have too much more to say about this because it is just like a press release that they're doing it. But consider me perked. I'm like, not Percocet, but like curious-wised. This did not Percocet me. This curious me. And I know I said I would keep the Dragonsteel Nexus stuff till the end, but I have to talk about it a little bit here because I had the absolute pleasure to sit down and interview Matt Dinniman in regards to the crazy success that has happened for Dungeon Crawler Carl. It was such a good time to sit down and chat with him, and quite frankly, he's just as cool as you think he would be after writing Dungeon Crawler Carl. And someone scheduled this conversation to happen in a church where we were selling like both of our books. And if you've read Dungeon Crawler Carl or Neon Ghosts, that was an interesting setting to be in. But in addition to that just fun aside, also they have given me permission to release the cover reveals for the next 3 Dungeon Crawler Carl books in hardback. That is right, we are getting The Gate of the Feral Gods, The Butcher's Masquerade, and The Eye of the Bedlam Bride, in this same style that we have seen for the first 3 of the series. And they're killing it. I will fully admit, at first I kind of thought these were not as capturing as the original covers, which I still do prefer in general, but getting your hands on these, the color choices and a lot of the small Easter eggs they're hiding throughout the covers make these absolutely worth a collector's spot. And excitingly, they're also letting me do a giveaway. So all you have to do is jump on to Blue Sky, and you don't have to follow me. You don't got to share this video or anything. Just at me and say, I want those 3 books, please. And I will randomly select somebody to send
first
3 books in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series in hardback. Absolutely fun. You owe me nothing. This is just them giving you all something in exchange for making Dungeon Crawler Carl such an incredible smash hit. Very cool. And my favorite thing of all 3 of these is how much Princess Donut takes the spotlight. No matter where you look at these covers, your eyes are drawn to that magnificent beast. And fun fact, when Matt Dinniman goes to signing, he has like a stuffed Princess Donut that's fully decked out, and let's just say shares the same piercings, which is amazing.
Well, that's odd.
And yes, we're having another insanely huge fantasy drop happening because there was also a tremendous announcement for Wheel of Time fans, specifically of the books, which another Dragonsteel Nexus thing. I was able to do a panel where we just talked about the books, and it was so refreshing to like just have that free conversation again. But yes, if you have been thirsting for a special edition of Eye of the World and have not been satisfied with what's on the market right now, like myself, I don't think there's been an anniversary or special edition of Wheel of Time that I have not been disappointed by yet. Finally, Dragonsteel is going to be giving Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time the leather-bound treatment they have done for Brandon Sanderson's hits. In an absolutely beautiful trailer with Robert Jordan's voice, they did this announcement, and in true Brandon Sanderson fashion, even though I was at Dragonsteel Nexus, it dropped right when I was getting in bed to finally relax after a day of panels and meeting thousands of people. And I originally left a comment on the video that was like, dude, I just got in bed. Why? But I realized his audience probably not familiar with like the meme we've had on this channel where he keeps dropping whenever I am finally done with fantasy news, which, fun fact, when he came up to my booth at like the end of the convention, he mentioned like, I've been having a lot of fun with that. God damn it, Sanderson. Which is like just strange enough for me to be not sure if you all believe me, but I promise he did do that. He did look at me and be like, yeah, that.
No sleeping in here!
Yes, Sanderson, I've seen you mocking me in the comment sections of my own fantasy news. It's beautiful, it's a highlight of my career, and it hurts only a little.
I win.
But do not worry, when I get my hands on this leather-bound, even though, yes, I do love the existing Cosmere leather-bounds, I will be just as critical and close eye examining of it to give you a deep dive review, especially at the price tag that they ask for to see if it is worth your money or not. These are luxury goods. They do not add anything over owning a standard copy and are purely a way to express your love of this material while possibly adding to the overall artistic peel with some inserts, but never feel bad if you cannot afford a special edition, because like the art will be available for you to see online. I always just like to add that. I do want to add that apparently they are planning to do one every single year, so theoretically it'll take them 15 years to get the Wheel of Time done, which fair. But I would also like to add that the $100 to $200 price range you see for Cosmere Leatherbounds objectively is not that expensive, when in this space you often find special editions that are not made of leather or not even stitched instead of glued selling for around that same price. I can attest to the fact, no bias, just objective, straightforward. For the bang for the buck, the Cosmere bound ones are pretty darn worth it. And this will be dropping winter of 2025. For my Witcher fans, and if this was like any other standard day of fantasy news, this could be the biggest story of the week. Finally, the game of Gwent will be available for you to order and play in real life. This is a game that exists in the series that I think is like very playable. It's actually a fun mechanical game, and now you will be able to play it with your friends over the table physically, not just in the video games. How fun. Though I will say, I've met a lot of fans who have made their own decks of Gwent, which I've always thought is so freaking cool. And this will be dropping in 2025 with the characters from the series added in as the playable cards. Pretty cool. Although this is not meant as a dismissal of this is really cool for any way, shape, or form for like Witcher fans who do love the game of Gwent. I've personally never loved it. I get it. Like, it's a fun game if you're into this style. It's just not necessarily my personal preference. But now, another story that would be like thumbnail-worthy mega drop for my One Piece fans. The voice actor behind Franky, Kazuki Yao, is finally retiring from voice acting and performing the character. There's no news on who will be replacing them yet, but honestly, just salute for a hell of a job bringing a character who so many love and is so many people's favorite Straw Hat to life. I've also seen that he apparently voiced Bon Clay as well in a response tweet to this main tweet. Didn't know that. Neat. And quite frankly, I believe this is the first major retirement from the cast, and it's just surprising to see like this many stick around for so long, be so dedicated to the series. It speaks to how much Oda's material and, you know, the career he's provided for these actors has been so stable. It reminds me of like the fact that the Simpsons cast and crew has just been like so solid for so many decades. Though there has like technically been turnover there, just not as much as you'd think. So on behalf of all Straw Hat fans, salute. But in One Piece quickie news, it has been confirmed that season 2 is planned as of now to be dropped around Christmas of 2025. So about a year from now. And in quickie news that, because it's so crowded today, if I wasn't a fan of this show, I may have cut, but I just want to use as an opportunity to preach my love of it. We also had a trailer drop for Severance season 2. And if you have not watched season 1, it is, in my opinion, one of the best science fiction concepts that has been turned into a phenomenal Apple TV Plus, whatever horrible name there is for that streaming service. It's just one of the best sci-fi shows that's currently airing. Adam Scott is really proving his acting chops, and in terms of using a sci-fi concept to explore the human condition, few on air right now are coming even close to what Severance has managed. It's dark, so be ready for that, but it's also raw and provides that catharsis through just feeling like you've been seen on that level of not even be able to put into words the emotion, at least if you're dumb like me. I just got a message for a Botox special. Okay. But finally, in what in a normal week would be the headlining story of fantasy news, whoo! We have also had the Goodreads Choice Awards announce the winners for 2024. And we can go through the winners of the internet's biggest popularity contest now. Though I will say, I'm more impressed by the winners of this year's Goodreads Choice Awards than I have been in previous years. Kudos. Though Goodreads, you still got a lot of problems, my guy and girl, whatever Goodreads wants to be. For fiction, we had the winner be The Wedding People by Allison Espach. For historical fiction, The Women by Kristen Hanna. For mystery thriller, we have The Good of the Woods by Liz Moore. And for romance, we had Funny Story by Emily Henry. For romantasy, Sarah J. Maas's House of Flame and Shadow was obviously a lock. And for fantasy, we had TJ Klune's Somewhere Beyond the Sea. Science fiction, we had The Ministry of Time, which is on my TBR. And horror, Stephen King took it with You Like It darker. And now to the Brandon Sanderson news outside of the Brandon Sanderson news we already covered, because Dragonsteel. And this is going to be the fact that we have gotten it announced from Sandermander himself and Tor that yes, we are getting another book from Sanderson. Surprise anybody? Anyone surprised? Anyone? Someone in the back? No, you're just sneezing? Fair. And that is going to be Tailored Realities, a new short fiction collection, including a never-before published novella, Moment Zero. You can pre-order it now, and it'll be available December 9th of 2025. And I like that, like, he's changing up a little bit. You expected him to drop, like, another huge book, but he's like, no. I call it to be predictable. Here's book, mini story. I don't know why I'm giving him an accent that's like Eastern European. And apparently the book will include illustrations for each story within. But the stories included are, as we said, Moment Zero, as well as Snapshot, Perfect State, Defending Elysium, which is set in the world of Skyward, and 5 others that were originally published elsewhere. Think of it like Arcanum Unbound, but like different. But let us now get into my reveal of Dragonsteel Nexus 2024 by first informing you that yes, the rumors are true. If you've been bouncing around online, there was a new story deck building game released at the convention to all attendants, where the backs of the cards have these splendid artworks on them, and then you try and collect them all to tell bonus stories from various characters within the Cosmere. But don't worry if you weren't at the convention. According to a post on Brandon Sanderson's website, these will eventually be available for you to just order and enjoy. Because I was just running around like a chicken with my head cut off the entire convention, haven't even had really time to even look at these aside from just the art on the back. There are clear inspirations as well, like foils in here for like special cards. It's really neat, but that is far from the only like stupendous thing from the convention. I originally was saying I was not going to go to the World Hopper Ball just because crowds and me are not the best mixture, but a good friend of mine, Jackson Dickert, had been cast to play Hoyd, so I really wanted to see his performance.
Andy, I'd like to start with your childhood.
Okay.
You were born young, correct?
Yeah, I got an early start in life, starting right around age 0.
Okay.
I'm from a family of 3. I'm the youngest in a family of 3. Both of my parents are older than me.
Your parents, they got divorced when you were 8.
That's right, yeah.
Was that your fault?
So I doubled up on my anxiety meds and stuck around for about an hour in one. First of all, Jackson, if you're watching this, oh my gosh, you were alongside professional actors and you threw with them like mano a mano, one of the best performances of the night. You did so well. I'm so proud of you.
Drinks and food have been provided by the Gavriel catering cousins.
And also the World Hopper Ball in general was one of the best immersive fantasy experiences I've seen in my life. From the walk-in where you have Michael Kramer doing this like immersive experience, to the actors being amongst the people, the dance floor, Kaladin's flips, amazing job to that performer Cliff, and the other Jackson who played Adolin, and Savannah who played Shallan. I got to talk to all of them, and they were incredibly nice people, as well as people who were just like diehard Cosmere fans. All of them at least read one book to like full series and really understood the assignment. As soon as crowded dancing started, I noped because not my thing or space. Me dancing is like watching Grasshopper on a skillet. I can also now say, out of context for the rest of my life, that Dan Wells made me eat crickets and Pop Rocks with Fonda Lee. I met Fonda Lee, and she was lovely. They let me, at my signing event, be next to her, which I felt so wrong. Like, it's like, oh, that's one of the best authors of our generation in this space, and then there's me.
I didn't think we were going to top Fart Jacuzzi, and yet here we are.
Highlights of the con, I got to meet Christopher Rocchio and sit down with him. So appreciative of the fact that they limit the numbers. I know that makes it frustrating for certain people to get tickets, and if you're one of those people who didn't manage to get one, I absolutely understand your disappointment, but it's kind of what makes Dragonsteel a bit special. You don't end up feeling like sardines in a can. you actually are able to kind of like breathe in the space, enjoy it. But unlike some cons I've been to, it really doesn't feel like it's just focused on your wallet. There are experiences like this deck building game. They are focused around Sanderson's releases. My only complaints would actually be kind of around the panels. There were some serious scheduling conflicts. I ended up getting double booked. That is something that I think a lot of cons end up struggling with, and I appreciate that everyone I talked to within the Dragonsteel team was very much so willing to work with me to resolve those problems. I feel like that's one of like the things that AI should be used for, right? To like triple check scheduling to make sure there's no overlaps. And thank you everyone who helped us sell out of books twice, even when we got a refill. And it was so heartwarming to have so many people say that they got what I was going for in Neon Ghosts. My representation of the trauma of loss, of losing someone close to you, really came through to them. And it just, I've never had people talk to me about my writing in person like that. I can promise I did not remember a fraction of the people I met's names, but your faces are gonna stick with me, your kind words as well, forever. We're gonna try and do a booth again next year, though my personal biggest mistake was not hiring an assistant for Kayla at the booth. So for many hours, she was left alone operating it. And that was just like, I need to have an assistant for us both. That way our booth isn't shut down so often as well whenever we're like off handling other issues. So like, that's not a Dragonsteel criticism, that's a me thing. And I would love to end this coverage of Dragonsteel Nexus just going over so many of the small businesses that I met and talked to. They're not sponsors, they were supported by Dragonsteel, and I want to continue that as I can. First of all, someone gave me these wonderful chopsticks. I was originally going to attach a mic and record off them like I promised you I would, but unfortunately my mic that I plug into this is dead right now and I couldn't delay making fantasy news. But so amazing chopsticks. That's not even a business thing, I don't think I got a business card. If so, comment, I'll pin it. And you'll be good. Those were just so cool. But also dungeonshop.com, Austin Hartel makes these amazing tokens for Magic the Gathering that I got a little goblin from. Amazing work, my guy. I walked by your booth and right away was like, I want 30. They're so cool. I'll be the coolest kid at Magic Night. Someone gave me this deck of One Piece cards that they signed for me, and unfortunately, I don't think I got your business card. Again, comment, I'll pin, post, promote these people as much as I can if they can. And thank you for signing this Doflamingo, the best antagonist in One Piece. And then Wyvern Warfare gave me this really cool dice tray that I will be using with my friends whenever we do that as well. So fantastic. Overly nice, I will say, individual who runs this and who was just wonderful to swing by and talk to. I kept having a problem where I'd tell people like, yeah, this afternoon I'll swing by. And then I got grabbed in like 5 million directions. And so if anyone said like that I was gonna meet with me and I didn't, I really apologize. I was just caught up in like 1,000 directions and my brain was fried. And for those of you who like D&D or even just want to like practice writing with these cool ideas, the Story Engine has these really cool prompts that I am genuinely planning on using for D&D with friends, that you basically can just do this quick little game that'll build a quick story for you to run off of. And it's done in a way that I actually find very intuitive and fun. And they gave me this for free, even though I was planning on coming back and buying one, so thank you. And then an artist that I loved enough to actually get Kayla a print from one of her favorite shows called The Nerdy Alchemist, Abby Park. Just spectacular, adorable style prints for The Last of Us and things that I adored talking to you. And this art is something I want to like get framed on my wall. Cute horror. Name something better. And then finally, like a dream I had to work with, I also picked up this ring from Badali Jewelry. And if you're interested in jewelry based off of Dresden Files, Cosmere, Rothfuss, Lord of the Rings, and many more, they got high quality stuff. And I think I've bought like 3 things from them now. Just to all those smaller businesses who I got to meet the owners of or people who work there with, you guys are spectacular. And next year, I think they're planning on making Dragonsteel a bit bigger. Highly recommend you try to get it if you're a Cosmere fan or just a fantasy fan. It was probably one of the few cons I plan on continuing to continue. I'm actually not much of a con person, but it's the fact that it's not overwhelming and it seems like dedicated not just to wallets, but to a good time that's gonna make me come back. Thank you for not making it feel like it's just capitalistic draining. And the biggest criticism I had of the previous Dragonsteel was accounted for, where I think I've mentioned this in my last experience there. There just wasn't enough security, in my opinion. This time I saw security. They were absolutely there, present, and making sure everything went smooth for not just like Sanderson, but the exhibitors. Well done. Just please. Scheduling. Let's nail that down. But this has just been your latest episode of Fantasy News. I have a very concerning tickle in my throat that I'm probably just going to chalk up to cotton crud, but I managed to get through it before I lost my voice. Again, have a beautiful one. Like and subscribe if you have not already. And hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here. Have a beautiful one, y'all. Peace.